I am a YouTuber. Hey everybody, it's Rebecca here. I just wanted to know a little bit about the topic. So I'm exploring it in my mind, and I like to do this thing where it's like free, like word association, kind of get concepts together, put them all into like this little churning kind of thing inside of me. But today I would like to talk about a meme that you probably know about. You may have seen a popular Twitch streamer make references to it as well.
Later on.
I think Blaze is Thurston.
Friend of mine. 38 months. Like I said earlier, dude, shout out.
So obviously, all memes aside, I want to talk about the bigger issues here and like talk about like where these kind of if you want to call them prejudices, I would say there's a better word for it, but it is a good way to put it. It's more like when you have like a cabbage brain take inside of your brain, which a cabbage brain take is like, you basically just see something on the internet. What is your initial reaction? And when I see that, obviously it's funny. Everyone's going to laugh. But then you kind of like, especially if you watch the TV show it's based off of, The Good Doctor on Hulu, then, uh, I think, as an autistic person myself, I can really highly relate to what that character is going through. Obviously, I have more of the show to watch, and there's lots of stuff to happen. But what I want to do, I've lived a lot of experience that are like, even in the first, I didn't even finish the first episode, and I already understand this character. Even from just seeing the meme, um, that character alone. I am a surgeon. Obviously, we're talking about identity, but we're also talking about who he is, that he knows himself to be in the world as he understands it. And I want to talk about that a little bit more because an autistic person, the way we see the world, and as you could see that, and I'm going to give a little spoilers here. Spoilers! But even just from the very beginning of the first episode, he's walking on, and it's mapping out his walking. And a lot of people see that as like, yeah, there's a lot of carries over between people with obsessive compulsive disorders, etc. But the way I believe that specific kind of amalgamation of mind connections is that you need to understand the world because your mind doesn't see systems. It sees the world as it is. And I think it's beautiful being autistic because we see the world, we don't see like a system that humans created. We don't see a bunch of like rules and regulations. We understand them and we follow them because we understand an inherent harmony to the universe because we look at it as it is. But there are certain things where we have to understand our direct environment. If you do certain things, there will be certain consequences. This is an inherent part of life. And you don't need to be a human to understand these things. Scorpions understand these things. Octopuses, squids, squid games. They all understand these things. It's really important to understand that when you tell an autistic person that even though they are highly skilled at something, and even though they can do that something to a higher degree than most people, on a more consistent basis than more people, if they're allowed the opportunity to do so. And so we see the world as a gatekeeper. It's almost like, the call center. Yes, running you to New York City from San Anselmo. It's basically like we see the world as it's just something that gets in the way of what we know we need to be doing. And obviously, that is how the world goes around, because if you don't have that, you have chaos, which we understand chaos because the reason why we have such structure to our day-to-day lives is because if we don't, you end up, and this is why I'm starting to add some more structure to my life, because if you don't, everything just keeps going in circles and you don't have any outside information to tell you different important things that you need to know to make decisions. And so instead of moving forward in your thoughts, you're basically like rolling a dice all the time until eventually you find the right path. And that can get really exhausting over time, and it can cause severe trauma over time, and it can even lead to PTSD and agoraphobia, which I am on my way towards exiting into a life of at least some kind of order and fulfillment. And if I can get out of this, I think anyone can. And I think obviously, TV shows aside, if you have what it takes to be a surgeon and you have the discipline and you're willing to go above and beyond to overcome your autistic deficits in order to render them into no longer being an issue, at some point you can just be in so much control that you're actually more in control than neurotypical people. Because at some point training just overcompensates. Training will always, in almost all cases, overcome mental deficits, and emotional deficits. However, I do think that and even in the most life and death situations, I feel like if you have the choice between a skilled autistic surgeon and a random person who went to med school 20 years ago and dropped out, then I think you know who the answer would be. You'd call a lawyer. No. Anyway, yeah, like for a while, like for example, I wanted to pursue being a lawyer, but I found out it's just something I don't want to put myself into. I just don't. I don't want to be involved with people's lives that directly. It's hard enough being involved in my own life. And there's certain things that you have to make decisions. Like, I need to do things for me. And, music is one of those things. Dance is definitely one of those things. And I'm finding out that even though sometimes it's difficult, I'm still showing up. And I'm going to continue to show up. And I'm going to be the dancer that I know I am. Because it goes beyond occupation. It goes beyond employment. It goes beyond career. It goes beyond the individual skill. It's who you are as a person, and who you are as a person doesn't have to be limited to one thing. However, there's certain things that require very high levels of dedication, and things like medical school to become a surgeon. That thing takes years and years and years of dedicated training. And for autistic people, certain things can become easier. Certain things can become extremely more difficult. And certain things like getting a job, maintaining a job, making sure that your boss doesn't fire you because they see you as a threat because you don't have an ego. Do you understand? Do you understand how scary the world can be for people like me? Where you love the world and you love people and you want to be a part of it, and you see it as this beautiful pasture of life where people can love and be happy. But then there's this big giant gatekeeper telling you that you have to fulfill these very specific requirements that are extremely painful to deal with. And if you only just, maybe dealt with some of those, but they want all of it. If you can deal with some of those, they might say, okay, we'll let you in. And then you can thrive. And so hopefully I can get to a place like that in my life. And unfortunately, not everybody has all this kind of opportunities I have. And so if you don't have any opportunities, make sure to reach out to your local support networks, your local resources, your community colleges, your health clinics. Don't stop asking questions. It doesn't matter if you can't pay for it. Work with someone until they can find you what you need with the resources you have available, because chances are you do not know 100% of the resources that are available. All it takes is a couple of questions.
I literally do not care.
If you like these kinds of videos, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to see as soon as I upload in my next video, hit that bell icon. if you want to know more about autism, feel free to ask in the comments below. Pinned comment will get a shout out in the next video. So make sure to leave a comment.